Hey, Renter Retires, it's Adam Schroeder here with another episode, joined as usual by Zach Lemaster, the founder and CEO of Renter Retirement. And you're about to be hearing a familiar voice of the other Adam from Nevada corporate headquarters, one of the companies we've been working with for a long, long time. Adam is an executive corporate analyst for NCH. And so, Adam, thanks for rejoining us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We want to talk today about one of the most pressing issues for investors, regardless of name, status in longevity in real estate, and that's just capital, right? And kind of ways that one can access money. And one of the things people hear about, but they don't know, am I eligible for it? What do I need to do to get eligible? And that's business credit. So we're going to talk today a little bit about that. So would you start off by just giving us a quick kind of 30-second tutorial of the definition of business credit?
Absolutely. And before we start with that, I just want to share with you all the NCH kind of what we are, what we do. Our firm, this is now our 36th year in business. We have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, 18,000 5-star reviews with all the online rankings. The backbone of our company is forming corporations and LLCs, but in-house, we have a full legal department. I have one of the best CPA firms, so we do tax and accounting for business owners and investors all over the country. We have a business credit team, which is we're going to talk about today. Business plan team, if you ever need a business plan done. We do estate planning like trust and wills, and then I also do self-directed IRAs and self-directed 401ks. So all the support services for business owners and investors is what NCH specializes in. Personally, I've been doing this for 24 years now, and I always tell people I am not good at much else. But anything you need for asset protection, taxes, legal, credit, that's what I do. And I'm not an attorney. I'm not a CPA. I've got those people in the office that do the work appropriately. But that's what our firm does. So business credit is understand this that you have your own credit. You got your personal credit score, your name, your social, your credit. Your business gets an EIN number, and you can establish business credit that is completely separate from you. So the goal is, especially as an investor, is I want to use personal credit for personal, but business credit for business. And there's so many ways that we can access business credit to use for real estate investing. It is incredible. Uh, so that business credit is completely separate from you. You own the company, you control the company, but for credit purpose, that's its own thing. And that's so important that, you can build credit as a sole proprietor, which is effectively you, but by setting up an LLC or a corporation and then, intentionally building that business credit, it's absolutely incredible. What can be done with business credit?
So you mentioned kind of you can do it as a sole proprietor, you can do it with an LLC, you can do it with a corporation. If I'm just a guy who has a side hustle, maybe I'm, selling stuff on Etsy or eBay or something like that, is there a general guideline of which like what makes the most sense or what's most useful for establishing business credit, or are they all the same whenever it comes down to actually getting it?
Yeah, well, it comes down to getting it. The business credit is so different. So personal credit, we have our social that we're personals through. The business is normally Dun and Bradstreet, and that's the number one business credit reporting agency. And where personal credit goes from 350 to 850, the business goes from 0 to 100. So the scoring is a little bit different. Our goal with the personal credit is uh, have an 800 credit score is super good. Well, the business having an 80 Paydex score is super good. And there's Dun& Bradstreet's the number one, but then there's also Experian Business and Equifax Business. So there are different credit agencies, but it's important for everyone to know there are no federal laws regulating business credit, not one. So personal credit, we've got the Consumer Protection Act and all these things that have to be done for your credit personally, not for the business. And where your personal credit, everything automatically reports to the credit bureaus, not with the business. There's something like over 600,000 companies in the US that will work with you on credit. The problem is that less than 1% of those companies actually report positive information to Dun& Bradstreet and the credit bureaus. Less than 1%. That's crazy. So the key is to work with companies that will actually report positively to Dun& and Bradstreet. So normally, you start a company, it's going to take on average 5 to 7 years to get a Paydex score of 80. Well, at NCH, we've got a system to do it within 3 to 6 months. So very quickly, we can build up an A plus business credit score for your company very quickly under your company's name and EIN number, so I can keep your personal credit squeaky clean.
Yeah, it's something that's really important. I've learned over time, Adam, the hard way. You guys have certainly helped us with that. And most people have heard of NCH, as you mentioned, mainly around structuring LLCs. You've structured multiple LLCs for me in multiple states. You structured actually the rent to retirement LLC initially, way back in the day. So we've been working with you guys for a long time, and we recommend you to everyone that is interested in setting up an LLC for their business, which probably should be everyone, at least at some point, if you're investing in real estate. But this business credit aspect is a piece that people, I think, in the back of their heads, and this is the same for me, you're aware that this is happening, and you start to get all the mailers around, applying for business credit and the credit cards and limits and all the things around the business as soon as you set it up. But I think the missing piece for most people is, how do I use business credit, right? Like why would you have business credit? And as you grow your and scale your portfolio over time, depending on the different loan structures that you use, it's really, really important to separate out business and personal credit. And I use both, right? I want to use my personal credit, my HELOCs, and all the things to invest in real estate, but also business credit is super critical to use to scale your portfolio and to separate out from your personal, because you don't want, I mean, when you get to the level of having multiple loan structures in place with multiple different lenders and they're evaluating everything you're doing, your personal credit is what they're going to use to scrutinize and in some cases limit your ability to be able to qualify for more loans. That's a lender limitation. And so stepping outside of that world in the business credit realm of using business credit that you can use as down payments, that you can use with DSCR type of loans and different loan structures is really it's much easier for one once you have it established, and a very beneficial way to scale your portfolio. So I just wanted to throw in my 2 cents on like how to use business credit. Let's talk a little bit more in depth about like what is business credit and how does it apply? Is this something, so that's great, you're able to expedite the process for someone to build their and establish their business credit score. And then is it as simple as, applying for different credit lines? Or let's talk about the application with real estate if you don't mind a little bit more.
Yeah. So first of all, that when you're buying a rental property, usually one of two things. Either you're doing a 30-year fixed rate mortgage using your name and your credit. You normally get the very best credit rates or the interest rates when you buy the property using your name and your credit. So they're looking at your personal credit report and they want to see copies of bank statements and tax returns and your pay stubs and all that. But then there's also the DSCR loan, the debt service coverage ratio, where they really don't care what your score is. All they care about is what's the value of that home, how much rent is coming in, and that's what they care about on a DSCR. Now, neither one of those cares about what your Paydex score is with Dun& and Bradstreet. They don't even care about that. But here's where it comes in handy. So when you form an LLC, you go to open up your checking account. The first thing the bank says is, "Oh, would you like a business credit card?" So very important. I just talked to a lady Friday. She set up her company. She got her business credit card, very successful business. And I said, "Well, was that a business card or is it a personal card with your business name on it?" And she said, "I don't know." I said, "Well, do you have Credit Karma or Experian or some type of an app you can go look?" She did. And sure enough, a $50,000 Chase business card that is reporting on her personal credit report. That's important to know because remember, if you go above 30% of your utilization for a personal credit card, your score is going down. So if something happens with the business and she's got to go tap that $50,000, watch what happens to her beautiful 800 FICO score is going to drop to about 600 points like that. So that's the personal side. Now, on the business side, when you set up your LLC, if you do it right, the applicant is the LLC and you're just a co-signer. They're going to look at your credit. You'll see an inquiry there. But now you have a business card that does not report on your personal credit report. It is incredibly valuable. There's Services Act where we can pull cash off a credit card. So they give me a new Chase or Bank of America or an Amex card. I'll get 0% interest for 12 months. So, but there's a service where I can just pull cash off of that card. Now they're going to charge me, usually it's 4 or 5%. So it's costing me 4 or 5% to pull cash. Do you know what it costs for a cash advance? It's like 30% on a cash advance. So there's services that I can pull cash off of those credit cards to use for down payments, help cover repair costs if I got to pay a contractor. For my rentals, I have my business card on file with my property management company. So if there's any repairs, maintenance, or improvements, they can go max out that business card. It does not change my personal score even 1 point. So that's the one side is your Visa, MasterCard, Amex. The other side is the vendor credit, your Lowe's, Home Depot, uh, paint companies, flooring companies, lumber companies. We can get all of that. That vendor credit has absolutely nothing to do with your personal credit report or personal credit cards or score. So we got the two sides of the business. We've got the Visa, MasterCard, Amex, which usually 99% of the time requires a personal guarantee. But if you do it right, again, it's not going to show up in your credit report. And then we've got the vendor credit. Now, as a person, we're always careful about utilization rates. Again, you go above 30%, it makes your score go down. Well, for the business, they expect us to use the credit. As a matter of fact, the more we use the credit, the better it is when you're dealing with a business. They expect businesses to use credit. So it's just a different system and a different scoring system. But the number one rule is I want to use business credit for the business, personal credit for personal, and only tap into my personal credit if I have to. So hopefully that's helpful for our audience.
90% of real estate investors miss key tax savings by overlooking deductions. Flipping houses, managing rentals, or growing your real estate empire? Make sure you've got experts in your corner, especially when it comes to taxes. That's why we turn to Nevada Corporate Headquarters, the experts who help us reduce taxes and set up our real estate LLCs. With 35 plus years of experience and 17,000 five-star reviews, Nevada Corporate Headquarters helps you manage properties across states, navigate tax laws, and protect your assets, all with a real estate LLC. Visit nchinc.com/RTR to schedule a free real estate LLC formation and tax consultation. Plus, receive a free guide to safeguarding your assets. So if you take that, two questions, it's kind of a two-part question. Going off of what you just said, does it help your Paydex score to be, or is there like a utilization rate that starts hurting your Paydex score? Is it just, if you have a higher balance, then you pay it off, they like it better? And then the other thing is, let's say you have that $50,000 credit card, you advance 30,000 and are paying 4 or 5%. Do you have to then buy the real estate in that business, or can you use it for a separate LLC or personal financing?
Yeah. So first thing on utilization is that again, the business does not look at utilization like they do on personal. So what they look at is when did you make your payment and how much did you pay? So if you're, usually if your your mortgage statement comes, your house payment's due on the first of the month, but they give you till the 15th. As long as you pay by the 15th, we're cool. Well, the business, they actually look at when did you make that payment. So if I get a credit card bill for my Home Depot, I am paying it immediately. The fact that I paid it immediately helps my business score. So, and more personally, you pay off a personal card before the bill date, cool. Kept your credit good. With the business, if I paid it off before my statement came in, before the statement date, it won't help my company. So yes, they're totally different. And and I admittedly, I have a whole team in the office that this is what they do all day, every day, is they help people and we educate people on how the business credit works because it's very difficult to build it up and very easy to screw up. And again, we don't have any federal agencies regulating business credit. So if you screw it up, good luck getting it fixed. So that's the scoring side of it. What was your second question?
Whether when you take money as an advance, do you have to buy the property in that company's name, or do you have discretion over, what loan product and what you buy it through?
Yeah, you can use it. So think of it this way. If you have a personal credit card that you're going to use for your business, that's fine. I don't care whose name is on that credit card. So long as I'm just using it for the business, That's important because if I ever have interest occurred or accrued, and it's a card that I use for business and personal, and I have to carry a balance and I have to pay interest, I cannot write off the interest. It's impossible to calculate what was business and what was personal. Impossible to calculate. So, however, if I take a personal card and I say I'm using this just for my rental properties, it's just being used for my holding company LLC. Now, if God forbid I have to carry an interest or have interest, I can write that off 100% as a business expense because that card was only being used for that business. So it doesn't matter where the money comes from, but the rule with the business is we never want to commingle funds. So I don't want to use the business checking account to pay personal bills. That's a big no-no. And conversely, I don't want to use my personal account to pay business bills. However, very easy way to make sure that you are never seen as commingling of funds. Anytime you're using your personal credit card for any business expense, always keep your itemized receipts. We can either treat that as capitalization, money we have given the company, or we could do just a simple monthly expense report. Top of the page, May expense report, 4 columns, date, dollar amount, who you paid, brief description of what it was for. So if I'm using my personal card for the business, no problem. As long as I've got the expense report, now the company is going to reimburse me at some point when it's financially able to do so. So I have multiple companies from years ago that I set up where I've got business cards from companies that have long since been dissolved. They were gone a long time ago. I had a mortgage company back in 2006. Yeah, don't even ask what happened to that. We know what happened. That was gone. So with that, but I still got the Amex card. So I still use that card, but I've deemed that for my one of my new businesses. So and don't forget, never, ever, ever cancel a credit card. Um, a business card doesn't matter. You can cancel it, you're fine. But a personal card, never cancel the card. It has a huge impact on your credit. If you close a card and say, well, I'm not using this card really, I'm just going to cancel it. Now, if it had a high, you get a certain card that has an annual fee and you're just not using it, I get it. But be very careful because that age and history that card provides to your credit report, it could hurt your score quite a bit. You drop 50 to 70 points because you canceled that Chase Sapphire card that was costing you $600 a year, or your Amex card that was costing you. So just be very mindful about that. Usually every couple of years, I'll get a letter from a credit card company that says, if you don't use this card, we're going to cancel it. I will go out and get a tank of gas and use that card and immediately pay it off just so they don't cancel the card so I can keep my personal credit score as high as possible. Business, different ballgame. Um, it, because it's not reporting on the credit report. So if it's a business card that you're not using, then you want to cancel it, go ahead. But I find value in the fact that, so I've got a card. Let me pull this one out. This is crazy, Adam. So this is a card that I've had since 2012. Let me find it. Here we go. This card is a limit of $750,000. How awesome is that? So again, anything pops up. If I could buy a couple houses on this if I want to. And I've actually had clients do that in the past where they use business credit cards to go out and buy homes. And they play the game 0%, 0%, 0%. But you got to play the game well because once that 0%'s up, I'm not paying, I don't want to pay 30% on a, or 20% on a home that I've got long term. So, strategically, it's a great way to use it to help leverage those funds as part of the other people's money that will really help you build and grow your portfolio.
Definitely a lot of good advice there, Adam. And it sounds like you and the NCH team also helps just to add some education around just people's FICOs and improving credit, like improving credit practices as well, right? So I think that that's something that if people are wondering different ways they can actually improve their credit, it'd be worth a conversation with you guys as well. The thing that stood out the most to me of when you're structuring the LLC, it's all about people are doing that for liability protection. It's not so much of a tax play. It's all about separating out your personal assets from your business, vice versa, and your business and your real estate from other businesses and other real estate. And that's important to keep that for that corporate veil, and keep that protection in place, like to keep your expenses separate. So I think that's naturally just an important thing to do is to have a business credit card around and keep your accounting truly, truly separate. And then people think about the business credit down the road, or so a lot of people don't even think about how they could possibly use it. So my question to you would be, when is it appropriate for someone to start exploring business credit? To me, this is a tool in the toolbox of something else. I always say we run, cash is the most limiting factor in real estate investing, and we all run out of cash at some point in capital to be able to scale our portfolio. But when do you recommend that people start thinking about business credit? Immediately when they open up the business, when they run out of capital and other sources to put down as down payments, or what do you think?
That's a really good question. So I remind everyone this real simple thing. Banks will give you whatever you want when you don't appear to need the money. As soon as you look like you need money, they won't give you a dime. So I want to separate this out immediately. And again, doing your business Visa, Mastercard, Amex, that can be done immediately. You got good personal credit, or your spouse has good personal credit. I can go out and get a business card right now in my hands. In 1 week, I'll have a brand new Amex that I can use for whatever with 0%. However, the vendor credit takes time. And there's a whole process where when you open a new company, you'll start getting phone calls from Dun and Bradstreet saying, "Oh, great, we know you want to build credit. You cannot build credit until your profile is complete." They're going to try and charge you $3,500. Do not pay them a dime. I've had clients that have done this in the past. Complete waste of money. We have a master account with Dun and Bradstreet, so we do all that stuff for you as part of our business credit program. And you don't have to use us. You can go do this yourself. But again, very, very difficult to get it done and very easy to screw up. But the goal is get this credit going immediately. To get and building business credit, your company is a brand new baby. It has no good credit. It has no bad credit. We can build the credit. But just like an 18-year-old kid, I can't go out and get an Amex card. I got to start with some small stuff and then build my way up. So same thing with the business. I start with some small office supplies, cleaning supplies. Now, there's a handful of companies that will give your business credit without any previous credit history, but they're only giving you, $200 to $500. Well, once those are reporting to Dun and Bradstreet, then I go to tier two. I get a little bit better stuff. Once those are reporting, I go to tier three. So the goal is to get to tier four. That is the Lowe's, Home Depot, Sam's Club, Costco. So the goal is to get to tier four. And again, normally it takes forever to do it. Now, I've got clients that have had businesses for 25 years, still don't have business credit because there's nobody they work with is reporting to Dun and Bradstreet. So that is the key. Work with companies that report to Dun and Bradstreet. And unlike personal, if I go open up a new Chase card, it's showing up in my credit right away. A business card, you've got to use it. And most of these companies, you got to spend $60. If you don't spend $60, they're not going to report to Dun and Bradstreet. But now I get the bill in, I got to make sure that I'm paying the bill in a way that is impacting my business credit in a positive fashion. So that's why I say we do the education to educate you, because all those little things make such a huge difference on what that credit score turns out to be. So answer the question is immediately. Don't mess around. As long as you have good credit, I want to be very mindful of the number of inquiries you have. And you go to buy a new house and they always say, do not apply for anything. Do not use your credit card. Well, it's Murphy's Law. You're going to be in the middle of buying a new primary residence and you had to use your business card to go, I don't know, get a new AC unit or something for one of your rental properties. And you don't have the cash on hand to cover that. You're going to have to use your personal credit. Any idea how much that's going to cost you and how pissed off your mortgage guy is going to be when he finds out that you used that business or your personal card right before the closing of a new home? It's crazy. So getting these things set up ahead of time is very wise move. If you're a real estate investor, these are things that you've got to get done immediately. Don't mess around.
All right. Well, Adam, thanks for joining us. Apparently, it's not as easy to do this right as it is like when I got my first credit card walking to a college football game just to get that shirt that said college on it. They're happy to give those away and it'll get reported, but you got to make sure you do the business part right. So, again, Adam, thanks for joining us and talking about this topic. NCH does a lot more than just business credit, though. Use the link in the show notes to get access to all of those. Set up a time to talk with them. LLCs, business credit, taxes, anything and everything you can think of. Just schedule a time, talk to them about what they have. So, Adam, again, thanks for joining us. Links in the show notes. To everyone else, check out the inventory you can purchase with that cash advance from your business credit at renttoretirement.com. That's renttoretirement.com. Really appreciate the time y'all spent educating yourselves today, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.
Thanks for watching the Rent to Retirement YouTube channel. Check out some of our other videos, like this one, or this one here.